You used it a couple times.
Paradigm?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're talking about like a Copernicus revolution. Well, that's true. You're talking about a worldview change when paradigm shift is more of a major, oh, the world's not flat after all. Major. So that's typically, but paradigm shifts can take place in different levels. So not bad when you use it. Okay, relativism. Now, how many of you believe that there are absolute right and wrong things to do? Something that's absolutely right or wrong at all times. Okay. Delta, right?
Yes.
Okay. What's an example? Give us an example. Come on.
Okay, my opinion or?
No, just what's an absolute right or wrong thing to do?
It is absolutely wrong. Okay. It's absolutely wrong, like, not to love your children.
Okay.
Like, all those mothers and stuff that drown their kids and then throw them off in the lake and stuff, that's wrong. Is that what you're about? Or like?
Well, yeah, I mean, any example you want to give, that's fine. That's probably a good one. Is it absolutely wrong for you to drown your child?
Yes.
For any reason whatsoever?
Absolutely.
Any 5-year-old child deserve to be drowned? I mean, is there conceivably be any reason to ever do such a thing?
No, but you
never know.
Maybe your lungs wrong 5 years.
What could conceivably be a reason to drown a 5-year-old child?
Maybe he's just a really bad kid.
Nip it in the
Maybe he
butt.
shot somebody.
Okay.
He should have done that. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, see, that's like, it depends on what you think child in the context. Because like Hitler was somebody's kids, but he probably should have been,
Oh, and he's my guy. I like to talk about Hitler. So yeah, he's my example of.
Granted, he did deserve to be loved, but he probably still should be.
Yeah. Well,
Define love.
Hitler he's the classic. I mean, when you think of raw evil, who do you think of? I mean, what face do you put on that? He's probably in the dictionary,
Well, he's on the third largest mass murderer in genocide.
Yeah, actually, Stalin was a bigger killer than he
He
was.
was in that Chinese.
What about the Pope?
What's that?
He's a pretty big mass murderer in genocide.
Who?
The Pope.
The Pope?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't get it.
The current Pope?
Like,
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I don't think our current guy in power is involved in going out doing any kind of.
Not in the last couple of years.
Can I ask a question that's totally off the subject? What's going on in Jamaica? And there's someone there.
Jamaica?
Yeah. Like, someone's hiding there from the States or something from Arkansas.
A big drug dealer.
Oh, really?
Arkansas.
He's not from Arkansas.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that was totally off the
His last name's Joe.
Okay, I haven't seen that one. Yahoo is where I get my daily fix.
Do what?
Yahoo, if it's not on Yahoo News, I probably haven't heard about it. So
He's like one of the world's largest drug cartel leaders.
Oh, okay.
Looking for him.
Yeah, well, they have their ways of finding those guys.
I'm sorry, that happens often.
There's, I'm over there videotaping myself. All right. Okay.
What do you think is absolutely wrong or right?
Oh, we don't care what Robbins thinks. We want to know what you guys think. You're the one that's important. I've already passed this course.
I think wrong and right to me over the years is something right will give you more choices, but something wrong will limit your choices, so to speak. Kind of like telling the truth and stuff, you have a lot more freedom telling the truth, but if you lie, you can restrict yourself to that line, to that person, and to that.
I disagree.
Well,
Yeah, I disagree.
Okay. I mean, I'm listening. I'm trying to hold that thought. We'll come back to that. I think you got something there. I'm curious as to if we flesh that out, what that's going to look like. Okay. One of the main points of relativism is that views or opinions, including, this is the big one, including moral and ethical positions, are relative to a certain perspective. Now, we're going to have to be honest about a few things, but also want to look at relativism as a whole. Another thing is there's no truly correct perspective. So everything is relative to a perspective, and there's no truly correct perspective. What does that leave? Then who makes the decisions? If there's no truly correct perspective, then how in the world do we ever make any laws? Who gets the say-so is what it comes down to. Who has the final say? And who should that authority be? You see what I'm saying? I heard somebody say something.
That's God.
Okay, God, okay. So, and if you have the perspective that there is a God, and, you know, if you have a particular religious faith that you adhere to, you're going to think in terms of how those rules coincide with daily life, right? Now, you come from a persuasion where, yeah, agnostic maybe. I believe there's a God, for example, but I'm not really sure which one that is, okay? Then you have a little bit more open-ended. It might, you know, agnosticism is very, very broad, so I don't want to try to choke it too much by saying, you know, this is how they would believe. Then if you're an atheist, you're going to have a totally different perspective. You're going to say, well, you know, man is the ultimate authority, therefore, you know, or nature, or whatever you want to come up with. So you have different presuppositions that are going to influence your moral biases, your moral beliefs. Your religious or irreligious perspectives are going to have a major influence on morality. The abortion issue that we have going on, gay marriage, things like that are current issues. A lot of them are coming from fundamentally two different foundational belief systems in some regards. The big battle that's going on over some of these issues. And so relativism proposes that there is really ultimately no right or wrong. It's just a matter of perspective. And so somebody out there somewhere decides this is the way we're going to do things. But then who put you in charge, right? Okay, well, we vote you out and we put someone else in. Well, then who's really in charge? Who's really, you know, in our system, who ultimately makes the decisions? Ultimately. What's that? Political decisions. Ultimately, who makes those decisions?
Congress.
We do.
You do.
Yes.
We're in a democracy. You made the decision. However you want to look at that, our system as a whole has, you know, made it so that at least as far as the Electoral College is concerned. Now, I'm sure things would have been different. If we had done the Constitution in our own time, I'm sure it would have been all electronic, right? You know, it didn't work out like that. It would all be an actual vote for vote, and we would have had Al Gore as president instead of George Bush, right? George W. Bush, I should say, because Gore. Let's see, that's who Gore was up against, right? Yeah, I had to stop thinking for a second, because he actually had a popular vote, but the Electoral College vote went to Bush. So, had we had the actual counted votes, it would have gone a different way. But as it stands, in general, the population votes for who's in office. Now, once they get there, what they do, we can't do a whole lot about sometimes, right? As individuals. This healthcare thing was not the most popular deal going, but, you know, and if those congressmen get fired, well, you know, then they do. If they don't, then they don't. But ultimately, the people decide. And if the people's voice is strong enough in one direction or another, I'm sure Congress is going to, because they want to keep their jobs, right? So they're going to probably go in a certain direction. But ultimately, it comes back on the people. It's a reflection of what the people are doing and what the people are like, for the most part. Even though, ironically, it's the people that do all complaining afterwards when they make these decisions. Okay, so who is really, with relativism, who is the one that should have the final say? It becomes the question.
The individual.
The individual. Okay, but you got a whole bunch of other individuals you got to live with, so now what? You can't live by yourself on a little island.
The one that
you
you
know,
listen to.
because somebody's already bought it, and it's really expensive to buy. I say that as a joke, but I had a relative that they lived on an island somewhere off like Keys area or something like that. Lived on an island, and I guess they bought it or whatever. You might be able to buy one in the lake somewhere, I don't know.
You can make one for about $2 million.
But yeah, you can make one like they're doing over in what's the name of
They
that?
pump the sand up and just mound it. And
The,
here's your island.
I keep wanting to call it Dubai, and that's not correct.
Yes.
What, is it Dubai? Where they're building that island?